we'll go with feedback for Annie. Anne.
So I thought you did well at explaining the roles and responsibilities, kind of the scope of why you're here. You stuck to that timeline, which was good, and it was very informational and organized. You definitely could just tell that you were nervous. So I know that you say that you do a lot of conference calls, but the whole point of us being here is to get rid of nerves or whatever the case might be. So I think a couple times you looked down. But then, I don't know at what point during it, you looked like you just kind of went, whew, and then kind of spoke freely and looked around the room, and you just seemed a lot more comfortable at that very moment.
I think you did really well with your hands. I know that you, at one point you like, oh, I'm supposed to put it on the table, but when you were supposed to use your hands, you were using them. I felt like it was the right time for you to do it, and then you thought, all right, go back, but I don't think you should have, just be natural, like you had it, and so I think that was really good. You definitely know the material, you definitely, I think just got a little bit nervous, and that kind of threw you off. Something I used to do a lot was just stand in front of the room, take a deep breath, and before you say anything, and then it just like pushes some of that nerves out, and then you can just talk. But overall, I think you did a good job, like it was good, you know, you just take a breath and then go.
You definitely sounded like you know the subject you're covering. I like how you thank people for volunteering because they probably got nominated to be there. So you know, thank you for that. And I like how you said the subject matter experts, and from here on I refer to them as SMEs, which you know helped later on. I think I don't mind the fast pace because I speak very fast, but I think it was very fast on your name. So like every time you repeat it, I'm like, I hope I catch your last, obviously I know your first name, but your last name. So just on that, I think a couple of times it sounded like you're trying to catch your breath.
I think, you know, you come off as very knowledgeable and confident, so it is fast-paced, but I tend to talk fast too, I think, so I can relate to that. I'm guessing that it was better that you didn't have. How did you feel about that? That you didn't have the papers?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you had it all in your head. You didn't really need the papers. So I think that was a good move. And I also think you did good with the table. So, you know, you had your hands out, you were open. Did you feel, I was just curious, having a couple of false starts, do you think that made you more nervous?
I think it did.
Just a little, might have impeded what, but.
The table helped, but I did do that where I was like, oh shoot, my hand should be on the table, and I'm like.
I thought it was great. I think your hand placement on the table was perfect. Really good eye contact. I would agree with Darnston, maybe like working on taking some deep breaths or breaths during your presentation. I think that helped with the pace and on your nerves as well.
Same thing with the knowledge, like it so knowledgeable. And then you did the thing again with smiling with bad news, which is good. Like I expect you to be there, I expect to have attendance.
Or I'm canceling.
So I think smiling with bad news, and then also it's okay if like you need them to be there, like not smiling with the bad news too. And you had really real reactions to it too. You put that personality in there and reacted again like how we would react getting told this information. I feel like the eye contact, you loved them and Brenda. And at the end, I think you were, again with the fast pace, I think you asked any questions, like if anybody had any questions, but didn't give us a time to even answer if we did. So it just, that was an example of the fast pace, like I think you're just ready to be done at that point, but any questions, it is important at the end. And yeah.
Yeah, I thought you were also really knowledgeable in the subject. I would totally go to you if I had any questions about this. And it could have just been nerves, but I felt like last week you felt you were fast, but I didn't think you were that fast. I think you were faster this time. And so I wish there were a few more pauses just so I could sort of like absorb what you were telling me. But I mean, I thought it was really good.
I think you're definitely knowledgeable on this subject. You can tell that you know your stuff. I actually learned stuff that I had no clue as far as like the steps that the application team takes. I think you did way better behind the table. Like you're starting, you seem more at ease and comfortable behind the table. I think you definitely talk faster this time around than last week. And I think because you were talking so fast, you didn't give yourself a second to like break and swallow. And I think that's what caused your throat to get dry and stuff like that.
I don't have too much to add. I mean, all the good things that they have said. Definitely the table helped you. You like the moment when you were comfortable and you lean back, you came back to the table, you smile. It was definitely faster this time. Last time I didn't think it was fast, but it was. And at the end, you want like me, and you wanted to just end the whole thing. Okay, bye.
Amazing. So all the good stuff, right? An additional thing I'm going to add is really good facial expressions. So I think last week we were talking about this infectious smile you have, and today it would be different. Today you had a very serious opening on your face, particularly the third one where you were standing at the table. I mean, even the second one. The first one was like, it was too cute.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to say. So just watch the difference in what your face is doing for the first 10 seconds in all three of those videos, and then you'll know what I'm referring to. So with that said, my biggest recommendation for you might not be about the speed. So the speed is there, and again, I think it would be the same recommendation that I gave Maria, which is break it up for us. Just give us things to do or to look at and stop speaking when we're looking at it. That might be enough to slow it down for us. My bigger concern right now is just where you were going language-wise. So when you were giving examples, your voice changed, and you'd say, hey, I don't know what to do. And then the next example was like, hey, I'm building like, and you went into the girl.
Okay.
And you started each one of them like, hey. Those are the examples, strip them.
Okay.
So find yourself, you were becoming like too conversational with the group. And again, now that I know what your communication style is, you have this driving need for people to like you and for people to be happy. And as a facilitator, don't be afraid of, sometimes you have to just come out and make a strong presentation. And it's not about the group liking you, it's about the group totally viewing you as a credible source of information. And that's what to go for. Alicia?
Yes.
Last week when you and I talked about, the pace and the enunciation issue, one of the things that I shared with you was about really forcing yourself to slow down by thinking about the final D's and P's and T's. And I'm thinking that might be something that would help you. And the reason I've referred to you is, do you found it helped thinking about it?
Yes. Like I was at home doing it.
Right.
Abrupt. Like just doing stuff like that she told me that would help. And I think what my issue too is sometimes I get nervous and then my mouth just runs.
Yeah.
And it's just, it all jumbles together.
Yeah.
And I was like, what, you didn't understand me?
And I think Alicia brings up a really good point, which is this isn't something you do only when you're making a presentation. If your pace is questionably fast, you should be practicing it every time you're having a conversation with someone. And what Alicia worked on specifically to force you down when your pace is quick mid-sentence, which is a little bit different than you, Maria. You were quick between sentences. So for you, it's paying attention to the final consonant sounds of some words periodically. And what that does is when you finally enunciate the final T, it forces you to do a quick intake of air. And it forces you to slow down ever so slightly. So think about practicing that for the rest of the week. I also think that you're taking on too much as a presenter. And I think all of us do this generally. Oh, you have to make a presentation. It's like, oh my God, I've got to make a lecture. And for you, it might be much easier to turn it into a conversational discussion and think about questions you can ask the group so that you're not on stage the whole time. Because I feel that that's what was pressuring you. Mm-hmm. Build it differently. And that's a simple solution as well. And next time, wear heels.
Okay. I usually do.
Okay, because heels, women have such a, men can wear heels too, I'm not saying you can't, but women have a distinct advantage. We can wear heels, and when we do, it forces, A, you're taller, B, it forces better posturing, and less dance movement. You're not gonna be doing what you were doing in heels.